I can't believe I believed everything we had was less. So young and naive of me to think she was from your past. Silly of me to dream of one day having your kiss. Love is so blind, it feels right when it's wrong. I can't believe I fell for your schemes. I'm smarter than that. Dumb and naive to believe that with me you're a changed man. Foolish of me to compete when you cheat, we'll lose within. It took me some time, but now I moved on. Because I realize I got myself and that's all I got in the end. That's what I found out, and it ain't no need to cry. I took a vow that from now on I'm gonna be my own best friend. Be myself and that's all I got in the end. That's what I found out, and it ain't no need to cry. I took a vow that from now on I'm gonna be my own best friend. Controlling and you say that you love me, but you don't. Your family told me one day I would see it on my own. Next thing I know, I'm dealing with your 3 kids in my own. Love is so blind, it feels right when it's wrong. Now that it's over, stop calling me, come pick up your clothes. Ain't no need to front like you're still with me. All your homies know, even your very best friend tried to warn me on the low. Took me some time, but now I am strong. Because I realize I got myself and that's all I got in the end. That's what I found out, and it ain't no need to cry. I took a vow that from now on I'm gonna be my own best friend. Be myself and that's all I got in the end. That's what I found out, and it ain't no need to cry. I took a vow that from now on I'm gonna be my own best friend. I be myself. I know that I will never disappoint myself. All the ladies, if you feel me, help me sing it out. I'm sitting with you. Yeah, you hurt me, but I learned a lot along the way. After all the rain, you'll see the sun come out again. I be myself. Hey, I know that I will never disappoint myself. I'm crying. All the ladies, if you feel me, help me sing it out. I'm sitting with you. You hurt me, but I learned a lot along the way. After all the rain, you'll see the sun come out again. I be myself, that's all I got in the end. That's what I found out, and it ain't no need to cry. I took a vow that from now on I'm gonna be my own best friend. Be myself, and that's all I got in the end. That's what I found out, and it ain't no need to cry. I took a vow that from now on I'm gonna be my own best friend.
Tell me, fellas, have you seen her? It was about 5 minutes ago when I seen the hottest chick that a youngin' never seen before. I say, yo, tell the girls I wanna meet her. On second thought, that ain't the way to go. I gotta give her game proper, spit it so she get it. There she is, I gotta stop her. Or should I talk about a smile? Or what about a style? I'm out of time, she's out the door, I gotta go for mine. Or should I talk about a smile? Or what about a style? I'm out of time, she's out the door, I gotta go for mine. Let the girl say, yeah. Excuse me, oh, yeah. And I gotta admit that you got my attention. You're making me want to say, oh. So you're trying to leave this? I said, I dance with you. How I love to keep you here with me, yo, baby. Now, so they grab hold of my hand and let's pretend the flow was ours. They say you don't really dance. Just one, two, step. Now with the music is moving too fast. Grab my hand a little tighter. Don't be afraid to move a little closer. Girl, there's something about you that makes me wanna say yeah. And I gotta admit that you got my attention. You're making me want to say yeah. So you're trying to leave this? How I love to keep you here with me, yo, baby. I think I'll say yeah. I don't know your name, but excuse me. I saw you from across the room, and I gotta admit that.
Grown and sexy, but clean sometimes. That's what's up. We didn't say it was a family show, so there's that. Young
Wait,
people
are we
born.
with that?
Well-
This or that? Are we?
I don't know. We all over the place.
Had to come out of retirement. These knees they was snap, cracking, and popping, like a Rice Krispie. But we made it do what it do. But I did take a couple ibuprofens afterwards, though. All right.
Mud Talk with Big T, Shay, and Miss Amy.
CL Style.
It's your boy Red.
I'm loving the studio. Like, as soon as I walked in, I was like, this is it right here. I just got into my element. So I'm loving it. I just really enjoyed listening to Jamil. It was just a great conversation. I mean, this is good. I'm like, okay, this is maybe we'll see after today. We'll see how tonight pans out. Yeah. We'll see.
Yo, what's good, y'all? It's your homie Big T.
Hey, what's going on? It is your co-hostess with the mostest, CL Styles. Hey.
And you are officially tapped in and tuned in to the hottest podcast that brings you the latest in music, news, and fashion, and the only show that keeps your ears to the streets.
While you grind and shine.
Hey, thank you, CL Styles. I appreciate you for that.
Yes, sir.
All right, so today is a very special episode of Mud Talk. Every year, we like to do what's called our Dear Black Man episode, where we focus on Black men's mental health. And so today's episode is all about Black men dealing with depression and anxiety. And we have two amazing guests here today. One of them, because he was here last year. We got Mr. Cecil Holston. What's good, Cecil?
What's up?
Yes. Thank you for coming back. You're rolling with us again for Dear Black Man Part 2. And you may have seen the person next to me. He is on the Drunk Unks podcast, which you can tune in to them this Saturday at 1 p.m. We got Mr. T. Cole over here. How you feel?
Sir, I'm feeling good.
Yes, we appreciate y'all for stopping by to have a very in-depth conversation of depression and anxiety and in the Black community. And so before we get started, we do want to put up our trigger warning. And with our trigger warning, we want to let you know that today's episode, there will be some discussions and topics discussed around depression and anxiety. Some stories could possibly include some stories of self-harm or suicide or anything like that. And so we do want to put up a trigger warning to let you know viewer discretion is advised. So we just want to make sure that everybody is good out there. So we appreciate y'all for tuning in and tapping in if you are watching tonight. Now, before we get into anything, we are discussing depression and anxiety. And so I wanted to give some quick facts. I did some research as far as depression, anxiety, and with Black men. And today's facts, they come from the National Institute of Mental Health. And so they have 7 statistics that I thought were really interesting. And what was really interesting about this too is shout out to Omega Sci-Fi, who was part of this the survey too. So I thought that was really dope. Cool. They were part of this research. So shout out to the Qs for doing amazing things. All right. So number one, the first statistic is adult African Americans are 20% more likely to report serious psychological distress than adult whites are. The second one is adult African Americans living in poverty are 2 to 3 times more likely to report serious psychological distress than those not living in poverty. Number 3, among men aged 18 to 44 who had daily feelings of anxiety and depression were less likely than non-Hispanic white men to have used mental health treatments. So that number was actually 26% compared to 45%. Suicide is the 3rd leading cause of death for African-American males ages 15 to 24. African-American men ages 20 to 24 have the highest suicide rate among African-Americans of all ages, male and female. African-American teenagers are more likely to attempt suicide than white teenagers are. And the last one, young African-Americans are much less likely than whites to have used a mental health service in the year during which they seriously thought about or attempted suicide. So what do you guys think about those statistics?
I mean, we know this. First, it's alarming. That's number one.
Yeah.
2, we need to make sure that we're not suffering in silence as Black men.
Absolutely.
So I think that was what the statistics said to me.
Yeah. I think, to me is not only, to piggyback off what Cecil said, but not just suffering in silence, but also too, like it starts young,
Yes.
15 to, adult, so, it lets you know that it's not just kids that are suffering, it's also adults, grown men who are suffering as well too. And so, we really have to put more of a focus on that, rather than the stigma. A lot of Black men, we don't want to speak out, or we don't want to seek help because the stigma surrounds mental health. But it's 2024, and suffering in silence is not good. And there are a lot of treatments and resources out there where you can go and get help, which we're going to talk more about today. What you think, Tico?
For sure, I think it's alarming, but it's not surprising to me. Like, because as a young Black man, you learn very, very young, like, oh, I can't cry, you can't have emotions. Like, you learn that at like 4 years old. Like, that's instilled in you until you grow older. Oh, if you cry, you a punk. It's like, no, I'm expressing my emotions. I'm hurt. Like, you just hurt me. And I think the generation before our parents, they learned hard love. That's because that's the only thing they knew. So it's like they didn't try to learn, like, oh, we need to really be compassionate with our kids instead of just like the tough love. Like, kids need more than tough love. You got to learn your kid. You need to know your kid. And I learned that when I had a kid. Like, I'm like, why my dogs act like this towards me? But when I had a kid, I learned it's a median. You have to find that median, and then that's that.
True. What you think, CL Styles?
I think you kind of have to go with, we are in Black History Month. So just the transition from us coming over from Africa over here, we had to be tough, right?
Yes.
Like, you had to be tough. If you weren't tough, you could lose your life. So I think that we're making that progression from being super tough to, kind of relaxing and kind of letting go with our emotions. I do think that we do have to be more open. I do think that now it is the time where speak about it, even if it's not to a group of people. If you don't want to tell everybody your business, find that person that you can confide in and let them know what's going on to kind of get it off, because you don't want to suffer in silence.
Absolutely. Yeah. True. Very true. And, like CL Styles said, I mean, we've been having to be strong since the book of Genesis, since the world started. And so I think we just constantly have that mentality. And, with everything that's going on in the world, from racism to poverty and just, the daily struggle, I think some people, they either don't know how to say I need help, or they just like, what, the one thing I learned, a lot of people just okay themselves to death. Like, I'm okay. I'm okay. I'm okay. And you know what? You're really not okay. And, people need to know that it's okay to not be okay. There are some days where you need to disconnect. There are some days you need to talk to your therapist. There are some days where you need to journal, talk it out, go to the gym, whatever it is that you need to do. It's okay to not be okay. Every day is not going to be, rainbows and unicorns and everything. Some days it's going to be like, you know what? I need a break, and I need to really take some time to step back. And so I'm really excited that we are doing this episode today to, really put the word out there that, there are people out there who are suffering, and we need to reach out to people and just ask them, are you okay?
Yes.
And not even because we think they're struggling, what's going on. Just ask somebody like, yo, you good today? You all right? And they'll let you know, like, I'm good or I'm not good. And so, it takes 3 seconds. Are you okay? So I'm really excited that we're doing this show today. So we do have a series of questions that we were able to come up with. And so we're going to go through these questions, and we're going to have a discussion about it. And, for those of you who are watching, make sure you comment. If you have any questions for us, leave them in the comments below. We'll be sure to get to them. But let's go ahead and get into these questions.
So it looks like the first question is, how do you define mental health in your own words?
What you think, Tico? How would you define mental health in your own words?
Mental health, for me,
Mental health to me, in my own words, would be, how are you feeling mentally and spiritually? Because for me, if you are not good mentally, then you're not good physically, because they affect one another. And so mental health to me is just like he said, how am I going about my day with no interruptions? And so sometimes that could be having a depression episode. We can be having a grief episode. And so really mental health to me is just how you're feeling mentally and spiritually without, any interruptions in your day. So what do you think, Sales Styles?
I would say the same thing. Just to kind of piggyback off of you guys, it's how you're feeling. I also feel you kind of touched on it, how you're feeling spiritually. I know when I'm not balanced, or if I don't feel balanced, I know I need to get that piece in check. I need to meditate. I need to, figure out what's going on and kind of get those answers. And they don't always come the same day, but just taking that time and that mindfulness to let me know, hey, all right, you're off balance, but you can get back on balance with this.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I would say for me, I'm trying to remove not just being a therapist, but just being myself. Mental health to me is something that is still being understood. I think we kind of understand it. It deals with our brain, but I feel like it's so much more than just that, right? Like I feel like if you have a mental health day, we're like, okay, well, we do self-care or we do something for ourselves, but it's so much more to, if my sleep isn't right, if my appetite isn't right, if I'm not being able to reach out to people because I'm just too tired. I feel like that's a part of your mental health, right? And I feel like if you don't have your physical health, your spirituality all in check, the mental health is going to be off. It's like the 4 pillars, right? Mental health, mental, emotional, spiritual, and physical. And that's a holistic approach to the mental health. So I feel like that's what it means to me. That you got to keep that in check.
Absolutely.
Like
Absolutely. Yeah.
Like that a lot.
So I guess my question is, how did you first identify that you were experiencing depression and anxiety and that it needed to be addressed?
As soon as you said dialysis, I already knew what it was. We know dialysis is really just kind of like a short term thing, if we're just gonna be honest. And so for me, I guess I had never experienced that before. And my grandmother she pretty much raised me from the time that I was born until I think I lived with her until I went to mommy, like 7th grade or something. And so just being like, to me, that was like my mom, you know what I'm saying? And so when my mom called and told me that, I just remember just having like this depressive feeling and just seeing her go through it for the next few years of going to dialysis and being sick and not feeling well and having these days. It was a very depressing time. But as a kid, you don't know how to identify what to call it. You just like, I just feel sad every day. Well, that's called depression. So, I just remember just going to school and really just having to put a smile on my face because I was involved in student council and I was involved in the dance team, like all these different things. So you have to put on this front, even though, on the inside, like, damn, like I'm here at school. Like, what if my grandmother passes away while I'm here at school, you know? And so I would really say like at 14, that was like the first time I was like, this doesn't feel like sadness. This feels way different. Like it just hit different. So I would say 14 was probably like the first time I experienced some depression.
Okay, so so my first experience was kind of like when my mom and dad got divorced. I can't exactly remember what age I was, or I think I was like 2nd or 3rd grade. I was just like you said, it was kind of like, what the hell? I don't know what to call this. I was just so sad every day. At first, I was excited because I'm like, oh, I got 2 houses to go to. I got 2 meals to eat, 2 Taco Tuesdays. Like, feel me? Think about the dumb stuff. Like, and I'm like, then it starts like settling in, like I'm going to sleep. That's when it started really like settling in, like not hearing my dad come to the steps like 12 o'clock. Cause like my dad, like he used to kiss me on the cheek before I went to sleep. So he'd be like, what cheek did I kiss you on? And like him not doing that every night, it was kind of like, damn, it was like it started settling in. Once I started getting older and older, it's like, damn, my dad really not in the house with me. Like, and it just kind of started messing with me. It messed with me up until like high school, and I got like over it. And then me and my dad got a real strong bond now. So it's like we got over it because I was able to communicate how I was feeling and about the whole situation. So like Ty said, it just comes with time, and once you figure out how to identify it, that's when you can attack it.
I think for me, I went to therapy when I got older, and then realized as a kid I had anxiety. So like I would stay up all night, watch BET Uncut, think that was fun, right?
Yeah.
But really in reality, that was just my anxiety keeping me up from
Yeah.
not going to sleep.
Mhm.
Or I would get migraines in the 7th grade. Like, why am I getting migraines in the 7th grade? It's an anxiety symptom. So then I realized that I had anxiety as a kid, but didn't realize what was going on.
Yeah.
So then I became an adult man with irritability, avoiding certain things, not worrying about things, overthinking things, and being like, why are you up to 2-3 o'clock and you need to work at 8 o'clock?
Yeah.
So I think that's when I started to realize anxiety was kicking me in the throat. And then grief kicked me in the throat. So I have some depressive episodes at times, or some seasonal depression at times, because I lost my mom 2 years ago.
Mm.
So sometimes those episodes come in where I'm like, am I depressed? And I have to ask myself, and I'm like, if you got to ask yourself, you probably more than likely is.
Right.
So I think that for me was when depression kicked in. Sometimes not fully, but anxiety definitely is my second closest friend
Yeah.
in my life right now.
Yeah. I didn't experience anxiety until I got older. And I think the reason why the anxiety kind of kicked, and maybe I had it.
Was
Take
younger,
us out.
back when I was younger, I didn't realize that
Go to settings
I was having depression. Um,
at the bottom.
because I had so many friends where
In the
I
middle.
grew up. It was a nice
In the
neighborhood.
middle. Settings in the middle.
Mhm.
Yep. It was a nice neighborhood.
Oh,
Filled with a lot of love, a lot of guys in the neighborhood. But where I grew up, a lot of the big things to do was to be a dope dealer, right? Like that was like the big thing to do, dope dealing,
Yeah.
thugging, like. And these were my homies, right?
Yeah.
And a lot
She
of
said,
them,
"I
it
can't
probably
hear."
was about 40 of us. And out of the 40 of us, it's only 3 of us that's not in jail
Oh,
right
I
now,
haven't
myself,
typed
my brother, and my friend. So I experienced loss, but you just kind of keep it pushing and you kind of keep it moving. You don't
For
really
sure.
think about anything like that.
Yeah.
And then when I experienced grief, when my father passed away 2
That's the
years
camera.
ago,
It's okay.
when he passed away, then I started getting that grief piece.
We should be
And I
close to
started feeling the uptick in different things that I was doing, that I knew that I normally wouldn't do. So I think from experiencing that uptick with the grief, when you see certain things, your parent that passed away pops up in your mind, and you don't know, it could be the smallest things, and you think of your dad or you think of your mom. So that, so for me, I think the biggest thing was I needed to get more spiritually based, right? Because I saw that it was the uptick in those things, and it would take the pain away for, you know, a few hours, but after that hour, it's almost like a band-aid.
Mhm.
You're just putting the band-aid on. But I think once I really got into my Bible and, really just trying to figure out the whys and figure out the hows, I think that helped. And then getting with a therapist as well
Yeah.
also helped also. Yeah.
Yeah. What was the question? I'm sorry. We had technical difficulties
You are
going
good.
on.
You are good. The
Welcome
question
to live TV, yo.
What approach do you take when symptoms of depression and anxiety arise?
Ooh, man, listen. Um,
Can I ask you a question, Ty?
yes.
When did you start taking that approach of, all right, I'm going to disconnect. I don't want my mood to go off on individuals. Was this something that when you were younger, you kind of incorporated, or when you got older, you incorporated that?
It was much older,
Okay.
honestly, and really, it was when I started going to therapy. And honestly, I can't even tell you what like caused it or what triggered it. It was more so I started noticing how when other people would have bad days, and I'd be like, why the fuck are you here? Like, you are having a bad day, you know what I'm saying? And I get it, like some people when you're having a bad day, maybe get out the house might make you feel better. But when you just know like that's not gonna make you feel better, just remove yourself. Everybody shouldn't have a bad day because you're having a bad day.
Right.
And so it really honestly was really till I just got older, and then people started like checking me, like, yo, like what the fuck is going on with you? Like you moody and you angry and you're talking crazy to people. And I was just like, yeah, like today is not a good day. I probably should have stayed at home. And sometimes you don't have those options to stay at home. You know, sometimes when you have to go to work, you have to learn how to, you know, use your coping skills and deal with it. But yeah, it was honestly was really probably when I got older and started going to therapy. And therapy, let me tell y'all, therapy made me more self-aware. Therapy will make you do the fucking work.
Yeah.
And if you got a good therapist, will tell you about yourself.
I agree.
Woo, I was like, wow, like, okay, so I'm the problem. Got it.
Yeah.
So I pay you the big bucks to tell for you to tell me I'm the problem.
Accountable.
And I like that though, because we need somebody who's going to hold us accountable and say, hey, yo, you fucked up. Like you shouldn't have did that. And at first I didn't like it. I didn't like, you know, my therapist. I'm like, I don't pay you these dollars to tell me I'm wrong.
Tell me I'm right. Goddamn it.
Tell me I'm right. Say yes, Ty. Big T, you were right. No, you were wrong. But yeah, therapy really made me more self-aware. And that's when I was kind of like, yeah, I need to start removing myself when I'm having those moments.
Yeah. So if I had to answer that question, it would be mine is gonna be kind of different, and everybody
Yes.
Absolutely. Thank you for
And
that.
I kind of piggyback. It's not just insurance. If you got EAP and you work for a job,
Yep.
they will cover it as
Yep,
well. So
yep.
let's say that as well.
Like
But
one session a month, right?
I think it's 6 sessions, sometimes
Yeah,
up to
yep.
like 3 to 6 sessions with that therapist before you got to use your insurance. So
Sure.
there's that too.
Yep.
But for me, mine is ashwagandha.
Yep.
And some magnesium is great for sleep with my anxiety. If I know I'm in one of those anxiety moods, I'm probably gonna do a facial care routine, put some meditation music on, 10, 20 minutes.
Yep.
And my head is in a better space. If I'm not okay that day though, I'm telling myself that it's okay to not be okay that day, but tomorrow I'm gonna start over fresh.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna let my day go, my mood go, and then move on. I journal sometimes if I have a chance. I know if you have an iPhone, there's a journal app. So you can even voice record, you can type it out, and it's on the go. And listen to music. Listen to some 70s soul. It's definitely going to change your mood. So that's my approaches.
Absolutely. Yeah.
We all are Black men. So what issues do you feel that we as Black men face that causes depression and anxiety?
Being Black. Being a Black man.
My goodness. My God.
I really believe that all Black men should be afforded the opportunity to have therapy for free. That is my number one push. I feel like sometimes just dealing with being a Black man can be a lot.
Yes.
Sometimes you are invisible in the world. Sometimes you are bright in the world for the wrong reasons. And I feel like at times it's being Black men, it's hard because you're carrying so much. But then you're like, I can't be too soft. I can't be too hard. I can't be too angry. I can't be too sad. I can't be too happy because then it's questionable. So I feel like that's the first thing. But I think life, also being an adult, because I don't feel like I was this stressed out as a kid. Like I was having fun. I was enjoying. I don't remember anxiety. I don't remember depression. It was probably happening, but I was happier.
Yes.
Right. I asked myself a question a couple of days. When's the last time I've been genuinely just happy? Right. Where it's like you don't have a care in the world, you don't have a stress in the world, just genuinely happy. And I don't want to say it's been a while, but it was when I was a kid. Like I would wake up, no issues, get ready to go to school, play at recess, get my Lunchable, do all that stuff. And that was cool. But as an adult, you just have so many more responsibilities. And you're, like Ty said earlier, you're always on go. Right. Or you're performing all the time, or you're doing something where you have to be an adult. So I feel like that's a lot of the reason why.
Yeah. I think that
The exact question again, because I left if y'all didn't see.
So what issues do you feel like when it comes to depression, anxiety with Black men, what issue do you feel like trigger those symptoms?
So I'm gonna go out here and be real. As Black men, we face a lot of women problems, as far as like having a kid. That's one thing that's huge in the Black community. I feel like that I always see on Facebook every day. I see somebody arguing with their mother or child. I'm not gonna say baby mama, it's disrespectful to me. So the mother or child, I feel like that's a big thing in the Black community. There's a lot of disengagement there. I feel like we need to do better at that part in the Black community, men and women, because I feel like that causes a lot of Black men a lot of problems. Because the people I know, they go through a lot of BS and you don't know what they're going through because nobody's ever gonna tell you that mentally. Like, man, I'm going through him. They're gonna be like, I'm going through some bullshit, but they're not gonna tell you, man, I fucking hate myself, or I can't. This lady ain't let me see my son or my daughter. And I can't fucking do it no more because everybody here has kids or nephew, cousin, something that they love, that they cherish. That's a person, and you know that you don't play about that person, and just so for them to take that away from you as a man, that shit hurt.
Yes.
So I feel like that's one thing we struggle with in the Black community as men. So that's my thing.
I would say, for me, I just feel like as a Black man, we've always been behind the 8 ball. Since we've gotten here, we've been behind the 8 ball, and we've always had to try and play catch up or try and be 2 times or 5 times better than, we don't have an equal or even playing field. And I think that is a big thing that kind of with the Black community or Black males that could cause depression or anxiety. And certain things have been placed in our community to be able to feel like we're pushed to the next level, in terms of drugs and different things like that. And then we're getting locked up as well. So I think that we've just been placed behind the 8 ball. And I think that can weigh on a man. That can weigh on the psyche of a man. It's intentional.
It's intentional.
Yep.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, we got some more questions, y'all. We're going to go ahead and go to a commercial break. And when we're going to come back, we are going to continue this discussion because we got more to get into. So keep it locked right here on Mud Talk. Do you want merch from the hottest podcast that's on your airwaves? Then make sure you head over to the Mud Talk Podcast Facebook page right now and click the merch link. Mud Talk has everything from sweatshirts, hoodies, hats, mugs, bags, and more. So make sure you go over to the official Mud Talk Podcast Facebook page and cop you some of the latest merch right now. And make sure you tune in to Mud Talk every Friday night, beginning at 8 p.m. on all streaming platforms, Facebook and YouTube.
Mud Talk with Big T, Shay, and Miss Amy.
Mud Talk is the only show that brings you the latest in music, news, and fashion, and keeping your ears to the streets while you grind and shine. Hosted by Big T, Shay Renee, Amy, and your boy Red. Be sure to tap into Mud Talk every single Friday, starting at 8 p.m. live on Facebook and YouTube. And catch us the next day, wherever you stream your podcast.
All right, well, it's good, y'all. We are back here on Mud Talk. We want to say, first of all, thank you to everybody who tunes in and taps in with us every single Friday night at 8 p.m. Whether you are streaming on Facebook, on YouTube, or you are listening on iHeartRadio, Sirius XM Radio, Spotify, Apple, or wherever you stream your favorite podcast. And we want to say shout out to Black Lido, Village Academy, and we want to say shout out to Many Faces Podcast Studio for all of the amazing things that you guys do. And yes, so there we go. Thank you to Village Academy. And if you don't know what Village Academy is, it is a preschool technology learning based center where if you got kids who are between the ages of 3 all the way up until school age, well, about 5 or 6, you can come, you can learn more about technology. Everything is hands-on. And so they are an amazing academy to teach your kids about technology the right way. Because, these days kids be learning about technology the wrong way. Okay. So, but shout out to Village Academy for being the amazing sponsor of Mud Talk. And we want to say shout out to everybody who's been tapping in with us in the comments. I promise this is live TV. So we got our sound and everything together, y'all. We was over here working behind the scenes, but we Power of live TV. We love it though. So
Good.
yes. All right. So let's get back into these questions because we got some more to talk about, right?
Yes.
All right. So
question is, what is the most important thing you learned about your mental health in the last year?
oh man. Damn. I feel like I'm in therapy.
Thanks, Cecil. I feel like for me, it's being intentional and being more accountable, right? So like I know my therapist and we always sit down and we speak about, well, what was your action in this role? How could you have changed it? What could you do different? And then an action plan to be able to do it. And then we follow up with it. So I think the accountability piece for me.
Yeah. I think for me, it has been learning that it is okay to create time for yourself. This year I struggled with that because I learned what I didn't learn, but I have recognized and we've recognized that Mud Talk is not just a podcast. We're a brand. We have merch now. We have different events that we go to. We've got all these, people, amazing people who watch us and follow us and listen to us. And so, and not only just with that, but then also too with, my after school program and also being a teacher, like there are different components. And so I used to be the educator or whomever that would not carve out time for myself. I had that bad. Like I felt like the only time was the weekend, And so I had to learn like it's okay to not. If you don't feel like having programming today, Ty, you do not have to have programming today. If you don't feel like coming to Mud Talk today, which has never happened, I've been here for 40 episodes. But if I don't feel like coming to Mud Talk today, I know I can reach out to one of my co-hosts and say, hey, I need a break. I need y'all to hold it down for me. But I was always that person that did not want to cancel because I felt like I was letting people down. And so this year I've learned that it is okay to say no. Like, we're not doing this after school today, or I'm not doing programming today, or guess what? I don't feel like going to work today. I ain't gonna say that to Dr. Tash. I'm going to put in that time request form because I am going to take a break. And so I have learned that it's okay to take a break. And you have to carve out time for yourself because if you don't, you'll get burnt out real quick. And you'll start, taking things out on people who didn't even do nothing to you. And that's what I found myself doing because I was just so agitated and so irritated because I wasn't carving out time to myself. I was snapping on people. And I would like, stop asking me questions. No shade towards you. But
a few times.
I did. I'm like, stop asking me questions. Because after
I'm
two
a
questions.
question asking person though. So
and I would be like, that's question 2. Go ask Google.
Yeah.
But it was because I wasn't taking that time to give myself, that peace and just chill out. And then also too, I had to learn like you are a human.
Yes.
You don't have to be an educator all the time. You don't have to be Big T all the time. You don't have to be Mr. Tyrone from the Impact Program all the time. You are a human. And it's okay to tell all 3 of those entities, I need a break. And so that was probably one of the biggest things I learned about my mental health this year, that it's okay to make time for yourself. Yeah. And it's still a struggle because you're trying to unlearn something that you've been doing for years and years and years and years. So, but I got a vacation coming up soon. So don't ask me no questions April 1st through
that's my
the
birthday,
5th.
So you won't hear from me.
There you go.
That will not be here. We'll both be on vacation.
There we go.
Might see you.
Look, other than that, I'm gonna hit you with that auto reply through text.
Might see you.
I'm out of office.
I'm not in the office.
Yeah.
I'm at the office.
For sure.
What about y'all?
For me, mine was like kind of how you said. Mine is using like PTO because like I know we get stagnant. Like I work in the factory, been working here since I graduated college for 10 years basically. So we work 7 days straight. You get 2 days off. So mine was using my PTO because I'm going there every day with a fucking attitude. After my 5th day, you call off and you still got 2 more days left. Like I don't work 5 days. I call off and I still gotta come back to this motherfucker tomorrow. So it's like learn to use your PTO without feeling guilty because people will feel, oh, my supervisor gonna miss me. Man, that supervisor does not care. You sick, your son, your daughter, wife, whoever sick. They don't give a damn about you. These companies don't care about you. So take that time to yourself. If you got to call off FMLA, whatever you got to do, the money will come. I promise you, the money will come. You will figure it out because there's so many programs and things going on right now. You will figure it out. Take that time yourself before you crash out, lose your mind.
Yeah. When I worked at my old school, I used to tell the teachers all the time, like, use your benefits. There's a reason why you
Yeah.
signed the contract and got benefits. And so we would get 60 hours of PTO time, and there were teachers who were not using it. And I was like, every month I was using the PTO button. Like I was clicking the hell out that button. And so one of my biggest things as an educator is that I advocate and tell people, like, use your PTO time. This is why we have substitute teachers in the building. Like, use your PTO time. What is why are you signing a contract to get benefits and then you don't use the benefits? That doesn't make sense. And so, I, like he said, like these companies, they really don't care about you. I have seen teachers get let go, and within 2 weeks later was a brand new teacher in the classroom. So that's just really like how much some of these schools and companies and whatever you work for, they don't care about you. So why not use the PTO? Because when you die, they're not gonna care about you. They're gonna put somebody else in that classroom.
What's the 2 week notice?
Exactly.
Listen, no, it really is. It's probably less than 2 weeks. They're letting you know the day of. Like, we got somebody else for you.
For me, mine was trying to remove my therapy hat and finding myself again, and finding who I am. Because sometimes you can get lost in your career or lost in your job.
Yeah.
And it just kind of like, it becomes a performance all the time where no matter where you're at, grocery store, driving down the street, at home, somebody got a therapy question. You're like, let me try to be funny again.
Yeah.
Let me go back to playing video games again. So that's what I learned about mine is I have to learn to remove that hat. And then I also have to learn how to express my needs. Because sometimes I will get very complacent and just be like, oh, it's okay. It's all right. But in reality, it's not. You're going to hear how I feel. You're going to know how I feel. And if it hurts your feelings, it hurts your feelings. But I got to tell you how I feel. Because if I'm laying with it, I'm sitting with it, it's not fair to me.
Right. Yeah.
Has that always been that way?
No.
You always kind of spoke your mind, or
no.
you had to learn that?
I had to learn it. So the crazy part is my mom and my grandma were very, they approach situations like, I'm gonna tell you what it is. So when I tell you what it is, you either gonna take it or you not. I told one of my clients one time, my grandma, I used to hear my grandma on the phone all the time. People used to call her vidden and talking. And she used to say, if you gonna go back with him, don't keep calling his phone.
That's the wise word.
And I was like, dang, that's kind of harsh. But in reality, no, like, don't keep calling me saying the same 3, 4, 5, and you still own 3, 4, 5. So that was how I learned how to become blunt and just realize, like, you got to be assertive in those conversations because people gonna take your time and steal it, and they're not gonna give it back to you.
Yeah, that's true.
What are you guys' ideas on dealing with depression and generational curses?
I just made a post about this. I feel like you're the chosen one of your family if your life is hard right now. Right? I feel like if your life is hard, you were chosen to break the generational curses. I genuinely believe there are people who are sitting at home who's struggling, who don't know why, and you're the chosen one for your family. I think if your life too easy and you breezing through it, it's not you. I feel like you gotta go through some tough stuff, some struggle, some frustration to be like, okay, I'm gonna come out of this and I'm gonna be better. Because we know when a phoenix rises from the ashes, it's better. So it hurts at first and it sucks, but eventually you'll become that diamond.
I needed that.
True.
Like that. I needed that right here. I think he was talking directly to me. I know the gospel over here. Yeah, like, I feel better now.
If you the church in the Friday,
I'm ready now.
you just got some free therapy.
Back on deck.
I'm ready to take the day now.
Something slack.
We gonna clip that.
The gospel right there.
I think as far as my thoughts on anxiety and depression and generational curses, Jesus. I am so glad that our generation, the generation that's after us, is speaking out and is healing and breaking these generational curses. No shade towards our parents and our grandparents, but y'all let a lot of shit slide for a very long time. And I love the fact that our generation and the generation before us, we are addressing that shit to the forefront. A lot of just old traditions and mindsets and thought processes that were fucking us up. I am so glad that we're like, no, We're not doing that anymore. We're not sweeping this under the rug. We are going to therapy. We are going to talk about it. And guess what? You're going to come with me. And if you're not going to come with me, we cannot continue this conversation or this relationship. And so I know for myself, even with working with through my own trauma and stuff, like me and my mom, we've been having some issues going on because I'm like, look here, we are going to talk about this. And the way that you used to address stuff with me, that's not working anymore because we are healing. We're not walking around being no limit soldiers all day. Okay. I am in my soft boy era. That's what I'm gonna call it. Y'all got your soft girl era.
Soft boy era.
I'm in my soft boy era.
Yeah,
Yes.
saying you lying, or they be saying you can't call me a liar.
You said what? Oh yeah, you're not gonna call me a liar. We calling that you're a liar.
Yeah, you fibbing.
You're lying. Okay. You know, we're not walking around being angry all day. And then it's such a different time. And I think our parents and grandparents, they have a tough time with that because they still have the same mindset. They don't like change. They don't like things to be uncomfortable. But in order to be comfortable, you have to be uncomfortable sometimes. And so therefore, nothing changes if nothing changes. And so we have to change something. We can't keep doing the same things over and over again, and they haven't been working. And so one of the things I always think about is when we have snow days, and people get on Facebook and they're constantly complaining. They're like, we had to walk 7 miles to school in 7 feet of snow. Well, I'm sorry that in 2024, we give a damn about our kids. You know why? Because back then it wasn't okay either. But it's not our fault that your grandparent, your mama, whoever didn't care about you. They sent you to school. But guess what? In 2024, we're not sending our kids to school at the bus stop in negative 12-degree weather and saying, go bundle up. No, that's wrong. That's very stupid. And so I just love the fact that, like we are addressing this and we're having these conversations with our elders. I mean, and they may like it, and they may not like it. Like he said, stuff like, oh, you can't say you're lying. You are lying. You are fat phase on lie. A liar.
I'm gonna have that shit real bad, man.
Yeah. So I love that. And so I just love the fact that we're I don't want to even say taking a stand, but we're breaking those generational curses because a lot of shit that was going on was just wrong. And now we're going to talk about it.
Yeah.
So
I agree with you 1,000% because I was gonna say something kind of like what you said. It's like my generational curse was basically like how he was saying, like telling my mom like all that you like. It's like I'll go to my mom's house and I might fall up the steps. I'm like, damn. And she's like, stop cussing. I'm like, mom, ain't no disrespect towards you or nothing. Like, I'm not cussing in front of you. Like, I don't even think you're around me. And it'd be just like small things like that. And then like when my dad, like not to put my dad on the spot or nothing, but shout out to my dad. Like my dad, he didn't have a dad, so he don't know, like he never knew how to be a fatherly figure. So it's like he trying to be hard body and I'm Mr. Tough Guy and woo. So like as I got older, I'm like, Dad, you ain't got to be like that with me all the time. Like, you don't have to be manly, macho, Randy Savage every time. Like it's okay to relax. Like it's okay to just be you. Yeah. Cause like even when my grandmother passed, his mom, he trying to be tough. I'm like, bro, I'm in here boo-hooing. I'm like, that's your mom. Yeah. I know you want to cry. So it's like it's okay. Like you don't have to be tough. And like as I get older, he's starting to listen more. And it took a while because at first he used to look at me like, man, you on some bullshit. Like when I was like 16, 17, he's like, man, what the fuck is you on? Like he's like looking at my uncle like, come on, man, you hear this little motherfucker? But then like it just started clicking. I don't know when it clicked or it just started boom. It was like a whole 360 with my dad. I'm like, what the fuck am I talking to the same person? It's like I slowly broke him down to where he's more understanding and talking about these generational curses. And I kind of was like me breaking that wall down. Like me and my dad, my mom, she hasn't made that far because I'm the only child. So my mom is different. So but me and my dad, we had that mutual respect of I can talk to my dad without him feeling disrespected or like calling him out on his bullshit. Like, come on, man, I ain't like how you did that. And him not getting offended. Like, oh, I'm your dad. You can't say I'm wrong.
Right.
Like, he'd be like, you right. You feel me? So it's just stuff like that as far as having that communication and him understanding and not just listening, him understanding. So that was like generational curse for me.
Yeah, I just talked to my mom recently about just how she was feeling. I was like, it has to be tiring to be a no limit soldier all day. Like you don't get tired of being a no limit soldier. And it's not even just her, just people in general. And it's funny that somebody posted this question on Facebook recently and was like, basically, you know, they've been having this debate about like black men don't protect black women, you know, and that whole debate. And somebody responded, and I said, it must be tiring to be a no-limit soldier all day. And she was like, but that's because black men don't protect black women. And I was like, but you as a woman, you should just want to be feminine and be soft in general, not because you don't feel protected, but just because you are a woman. And ain't it tiring to be a no-limit soldier all day, all week, all year, all life? So me and my mom had this conversation. I was like, Mom, it's okay to cry. It's okay to say, I'm not having a good day. It's okay to take a day to yourself. And I know where it's coming from. A lot of our parents, you know, they went through a lot of stuff with our fathers. And so they were single mothers. And so they like, well, we had to be tough. And I'm like, but I am 35 now. It's okay to let it go. And so, yeah, but it takes a long time to figure it out if you've never had someone to help you figure it out. Our parents didn't go to therapy. You know, they didn't know anything about self-care and saying that I'm not okay. They just kept it moving every day. And I'm like, but you don't have to do that anymore. At all. And so, yeah, all the no-limit soldiers out there, cut it out.
Say free them.
Yes. Shit.
And black men do protect black women.
Hello. Thank you. And it's okay to be in your soft life era. Okay. It's cool. I love it. I love being in my soft life era. Y'all can talk about me, put in the comments all you want to. But guess what? I wake up and go to sleep at peace every night. So yes, I do be at home with my sage and listen to my Jhené Aiko, and I be vibing and I be chilling and journaling. You know why? Because I'm tired of being a no-limit soldier. I was a no-limit soldier from 8 until 3. When I get home, it is soft life time. Yes. Why in my household? Ego. Lifetime. Because in my household, I'm like, why are you yelling? You shouldn't be yelling.
The wine glass?
Huh?
Get the wine glass up here?
No, I separate solo cup, but
just a little bit. Be quiet here a little bit.
But look, you come to my household, and I'm like, why are you yelling? We're not yelling. I talk when I'm at my house, I don't yell at my house. And if you come into my house yelling, I'm like, why are you yelling?
Talking like Barry White.
We don't yell at here. The lights are like real dim. I hate bright lights. Like I'm chilling at home. Plants all around.
Easy, huh?
Yeah. You're gonna feel like you at Toll House every day you come to my house. Yep. So yeah, y'all, it's okay to be in y'all soft life. I promise. Because once you get there, you ain't gonna leave
at all.
I'm like, you come over, like, you want to talk about your feelings? It's okay. You had a rough day.
I ain't get that deep yet.
Let's talk about it. Yeah, you'll get there.
Yeah, I could.
Maybe when you get 35.
I'm thinking about time I'm 30. I'm 20. I'll be about 30.
Yeah,
I'm getting there.
But see,
early 30s.
Yeah, I get there.
Yeah, and see, I'm at the age too. Like all that loud noise,
too much.
It's too much. It's too loud. Why are you so loud?
I like that too, though.
That music, turn it down a little bit. You ain't got to be all that.
I gotta turn it down to see out my window.
Make sure you get
the too. I gotta turn down
the loud noise. Look, turn everything down. What's that?
Yeah.
I'm driving too.
Don't pull up to my house bumping on me. Hey, turn it down. It's too loud. We don't do that. It's too loud. We got neighbors. All right. What we got next on the question?
Do you feel like setting goals and achieving those goals have positive effect on your mental health?
Yes.
Yeah.
I definitely feel like when you think about something or something's been placed in you and you plan it out and plot it out and you achieve that, I don't care if it's a small thing or a big thing, small thing, big thing, but if you achieve it, yes, because you feel like, all right, I can do more. I can do something else. I can go and plan this out. I can go and make whatever it is that I have in my mind come into fruition. So I think so.
I say yes and no. I say yes and no because like when I tried to join the firefighter department, so I was really dedicated to. I had my goals set down for each month. I'm gonna do this, I ended up filling the one section. So like when I'm seeing my goals, I missed the goal. So it was like I got strong will. So it didn't really break my heart. But a normal person, it probably be like, man, I'm done with this. I can't do this. So it's like you when you put it down on paper, it kind of hits different because you're seeing it every day. That's what I do. I put my goals on the wall. So I see it every day. I walk past it. So for a normal person, that probably really affect them. But for me, it really it's kind of just like I'm going back at it again.
Motivation.
Yeah. So that's how I say yes and no.
Yeah. Goals for me definitely affect my mental health in a positive way. But I will say that please make sure that you are not just achieving goals to get away from whatever issue you have going on. Because sometimes we will continue to, let me go get this certificate, let me go get this degree, let me go get this. But the thing is that once that moment is done, you set back into reality. And so, for me, and I speak from experience, for me, I was always achieving. Probably been a people pleaser since I was a kid. Like growing up, my grandfather was like real strict about education. Like he was like, when you come home and do your homework, you can have some more homework. I was like, damn it. What is it? After school program?
It's crazy.
No, for real. And so he would make me like study like I knew all my state capitals by the time I was 4.
Oh, yeah, no
yes. Like my granddad would go and buy these maps and like this puzzle map. And he would like make me study like all 50 states every day after school. And so then it got to the point to where he would like, all right, let me flip this map over. And then he would point to the state, like of the back of it. And I would know it. I'd be like, oh, that's Ohio. Oh, that's Georgia.
Ooh.
But then he was like, all right, now let's learn these capitals. So now I'm like, oh, what's the capital of Ohio? Oh, Columbus. What's the capital of Florida? Tallahassee. I still know it to this day. So he drilled it in me. But then the killer part was that when people would come over, he'd be like, hey, Ty, show them your 50 states. And I'm like, so you treat me like Sideshow Bob.
Do the little dance. Grandparents thing to do. Do your dance.
D-dance, yes. Do them states, boy.
Do your dance.
And so once like people would come over and be like, Ty is so smart. Oh my gosh. And it just like kept like I just wanted to keep going and keep performing. And then once I became an adult, like I just didn't know how to stop. So now I'm like, all right, let me go to college and get a degree. Okay, let me start this program. Oh, let me do a podcast. So like for me, I knew at the same time that I was getting those things because I also had other shit that was going on. And so once like I would get my degree, I'm like, all right, oh, that was great. That was cool. But once that feeling goes away, I still have the issue that I didn't deal with. And so, now I'm in a space where I don't achieve goals to please other people. I do it because I want to. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, I still go to therapy and still address those issues. So I'm not doing Mud Talk because I'm trying to get away from something. No, I addressed that already before we came on Mud Talk. So, let's just go ahead and do it. So, yeah, goals to me, they definitely affect my mental health in a good way, but just make sure you're doing them for the right reason, not because you're trying to get away from something. So
I would agree. And I would add a little piece to that. Make sure you're celebrating your accomplishments.
Yes.
Not the big ones, but the small ones, the steps that it took to get to that stuff. Because sometimes we'll take a goal and be like, oh, I ain't reached it yet. But what were the steps you took to get there that you actually took them and celebrated that?
Yeah.
So I believe it does, but it helps even more if you celebrate the small wins along with the big wins.
Absolutely.
So,
what do you think, CL Styles?
I definitely agree with that. You got to celebrate the small ones because you can't get to the big ones without taking those baby steps. Yeah.
Big facts. Yeah. All right. Well, I guess it's my turn on the questions. All right. Our next question is, what do you feel is the reason or reasons Black men don't open up about anxiety and depression?
I think because it was frowned upon at one point. Like you weren't supposed to be in touch with your feelings, right? Like if you're around your homeboys and you feeling a certain type of way, you can't say, man, I'm feeling this type of way. It's like, oh man, you saw, man, we ain't doing that. We worried about this. I think now we're in a stage where we can open up, and it is, it's, I don't want to say cool, but it's definitely accepted to open up and be more in tune with what your feelings are. But I think back when we were growing up and back with our parents and grandparents, you kind of had to hold that to yourself.
Yeah. I think the reason why us as Black men, we don't open up with our feelings and talk about anxiety and depression is because sometimes we don't feel like we're in a safe space. Specifically if you're in a relationship. I know that, and honestly, friendships too. Sometimes when you open up to people, it's tough because you don't want that thrown back in your face, because there will be people who will use your depression, anxiety, and throw it in your face. And if you get into it with them, then shit is gonna hit the fan. And so for us as Black men, we want to feel we're in a safe space before we open up. And even then, you got to show me for a long time that I can trust you before I open up. And so I think it has to do with that, and also what CL Styles said as well too. Like, you know, it was a thing where for a long time, like, are you crying? You talking about your feeling like you soft? Only girls supposed to be doing that and doing that. And now I'm glad that we are in an era where it is okay to do things like this, where we can open up and talk about our feelings and depression, anxiety, and whatnot. And we need to do more of it because as Black men, we just, like I said, we deal with so much, and we just want to have a safe space where we can talk about it and get it out there in the open. So I definitely agree with CO Styles for saying that with that.
Yeah, I agree with that. What I think is like a Black person will be like in your family, they'd be so quick to call you crazy if you express yourself. They'd be, little Terrence, he's so goddamn crazy. He over here crying and shit. He whoop. So like in a Black family, it's kind of like, damn, I'm not really crazy. So y'all probably all had that older cousin growing up. They probably was like, oh, he crazy as hell. And he probably was just misunderstood. And y'all didn't really understand how to talk to him. And then when y'all got older, you kind of start understanding why they thought he was crazy and his motherfucker normal as hell, but they didn't ship him away. You don't even know how he is no more. Now he just weird as hell. But that's just the thing. It's just like I feel like you gotta do better doing it.
Yeah.
I think everybody's kind of said it. We've weaponized mental health.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
Like, we've made it a weapon. We don't make it like a safe thing where you're like, hey, talk about your anxiety, talk about your depression, be vulnerable.
Scary.
It's more like you crazy.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Or you bipolar. And you're not even bipolar. Right.
Yeah.
Or we've weaponized it in our community where it's like, I don't want to talk about it because one, there's a mistrust. Two, there's some system things. But we as Black men, we don't want to, we have a fear of talking about where we're at.
Mm-hmm.
Two, we don't want people to use things against us. And three, we don't want to be able to know like, oh, you're gonna put me on medication because I'm depressed. You're gonna put me on medication because I got anxiety.
Yeah.
And it's like I can't even prescribe medication as a therapist. But if we're talking about this conversation, that's first where we need to start.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I think that is. Plus, I think society has made it hard for Black men to just be like, you don't always have to be strong.
Yeah.
Right. You don't have to carry the world on your back all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's a lot of the reason why Black men don't talk about mental health.
Yeah. You know, for me, I've learned in my 35 years and probably more so recently within the last 10, when you just live your life open and just be free, that's when people don't weaponize the shit because you can't weaponize something that I'm saying out loud.
Correct.
So if I'm telling you that I deal with depression or anxiety, it's not going to hurt me if you throw it back in my face because I'm going to be like, I know, like I say it out loud. And so I encourage everybody to live your life out loud. If you have depression, it's okay. If you have anxiety, it's okay. Live your life out loud because no one can weaponize something that you know that you deal with. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I've learned that more so in like I said, the last 10, 15 years. Like when you just live your life out loud, shit, you can't throw something in my face that I know already. So yeah, I agree. So all right. My next question is, what would you say to other Black men who are struggling with anxiety and depression who may feel trapped or alone?
First thing I would say is you're not alone. That's the first thing I would say. And second thing I would say is, like I said earlier, don't suffer in silence.
Mm-hmm.
So find you a community of Black men, find you somebody who you feel safe with, go to therapy. I know sometimes it's about accessibility sometimes and being able to access a good therapist.
Mm-hmm.
But if you don't like your doctor, you go to a new doctor. So treat your therapist like that. If you don't like the therapist, just go. You don't got to tell the therapist you're leaving.
Yeah.
Just go to a different therapist. But I feel like first two things I would say is don't suffer in silence and just don't feel like you're alone.
Yeah. Yeah. I think for me, it's really what Cecil said. You know, first thing is you are not alone. You know, I just read the statistics to you earlier. There are millions of people who deal with anxiety and depression. And like he said too, get a therapist. For me personally, when I first started going to therapy, I had a female therapist. Shout out to Jazz, appreciate her. But recently I switched over to a male therapist. And to me, that was like such a big deal because when I go to therapy, I don't feel like I'm necessarily in therapy. I feel like I'm just talking to the homie, like a safe space with the homie. And so when I get done, I get in the car, I'm like, damn, that feels good. You know what I'm saying? Like I just talked to my big bro and got that shit all out. You know what I'm saying? And I don't have to worry about him saying nothing because shout out to HIPAA.
Shout out to
HIPAA. So, you know, I don't have to worry about anything, but it's like he said, it's okay if you have to switch to a different therapist because to me, like switching to a male therapist, I was just in a different space where I felt like, okay, my female therapist, it was more so about accountability And now the therapist I have now is more so like, okay, I need you to do the work now. Like, I'm going to give you homework. I'm going to make you think. You know, I'm going to tell you that you're wrong too, but also let you know that, like, okay, yeah, like that shit you did, that was cool, but what's the follow-up? You know what I'm saying? So it's definitely okay. And, you know, do the research. You know, there are plenty of therapists out there, you know, but if you need help, you know, you just got to reach out. You got to say something. And it's okay to not be okay. You don't have to be strong all the time. You don't have to be a no limit soldier all the time. You ain't got to be a thug all day. It is perfectly okay to say, you know what, today I ain't in the best mood. And I'm like, all right, so what we gonna do about it? You know what I'm saying? So, and also too, I know that we hate talking about meds, but sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do. Because when you are not feeling well, they give you medicine. When you have high blood pressure, you get put on high blood pressure medicine. If you are diabetic, you get put on medicine. And so, you know, it's the same thing when you're mental health. If you have anxiety, why would I want to sit and struggle all day when I can take meds and to feel calm? You know, and for some people, maybe you like to do the devil's lettuce. That's up to you. No shade. You know what I'm saying? But you have to do what you have to do. But also, let's have healthy alternatives.
Correct.
Because there's sometimes we can turn to those unhealthy alternatives like drinking and sex and everything else. No, we have some healthy alternatives. So if you don't feel well, there are meds for depression. There are meds for anxiety. There are meds for bipolar. It's okay if you have to take medicine. So.
That's natural options as well too.
So what?
I say it's natural options.
Oh yeah, we support. Yeah. Shout out to Issue 2. We love Issue 2
for sure.
Yes.
So can you say the question again? Because I got so interested in Ty's
marijuana.
That was hooked. Like I was locked in.
No. So the question was, what would you say to other Black men who are struggling with anxiety and depression who may feel trapped or alone?
Like he said, you're not alone. Like I would say, talk to somebody. Like if you can't go to a therapist, talk to someone that's similar to you. Like if you have a girlfriend, talk to somebody that has a girlfriend. Don't talk to one of your friends that don't have a girlfriend. They can't relate to you. If you talk to somebody that has a kid, they don't got a kid, they can't really relate to your day-to-day basis. Like you might think that's your homeboy, you might know him for 20 years, but y'all on two different frequencies. Like your whole daily life, just small stuff, waking up, getting your kids some breakfast, waking up. Your whole lives is different. So talk to people that's similar to you. If you can't go to therapy, talk to somebody that you can confide in, that you trust. Don't be talking and don't be loose. Just don't be loose with it. Talk to somebody that you can really confide in, a friend, not somebody that you just met, that you've told stuff previously before it didn't get out. Don't try to tell your life story to somebody that's random that you just met, because that's going to end up screwing you at the end, because some people want to see you fail. Talk to somebody that you really know and that's similar to you.
Yeah.
Because y'all gonna relate way more and you're gonna get it off your chest.
And I would say this too. Be careful who you open up to, because the friend that you gossip with is probably not the friend you should be open up with.
100%.
And so you need to be very careful about who you open up to about that. And I just say that because me personally, when I have a nice small circle of people I open up to, but I can open up to them because I know in the end there's some type of follow-up, there's some type of accountability, there's some type of, okay, like what are we doing next? It's not just us venting to each other and just emotionally dumping on each other. Now we just go away. So be very careful about who you open up to, and it shouldn't be somebody that you gossip with. It needs to be somebody who can help you, get through what you're getting through.
So be proactive doing that.
Yes.
Correct.
Yes.
And I would say this because y'all all made like great points. I just put like a little bow on top of it. Like we use GPS when we get in our car to get to the spot, and we use help, right? We have food. If it gets cold, we put it in the microwave or we put it in the air fryer. A therapist is the same way.
Yeah.
If they can help you and you can maneuver different pitfalls and you can get things off of your chest, it is a helping aid. We live in a world that we want to make it easier. So therapy is not a bad thing. Just look at it as a helping aid to help you become the better person.
Yeah. And you would definitely notice when you're not in therapy. I was out of therapy for a whole year. And when I went back, my therapist was like, why you been gone for a whole year? And I was like, oh, let me tell you. There was a lot, but within that year, there was a lot of shit that happened.
Yes.
And I was like, the way I was handling it for that year wasn't good. And so for me, like therapy keeps me mindful of those coping skills and those different strategies that I can use. But you can definitely tell when you are not in therapy, you will feel it's a hell of a difference. And but when I'm in it, I feel like I'm Black Panther, Wakanda. So yeah, if you are not in therapy, make sure you get it. It's the best gift in the world.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
My turn.
yep.
When did you notice a breakthrough, and what was that feeling like?
I would say I noticed a breakthrough when I started applying what it was that I was learning in therapy, right? Like not just letting it fall on a deaf ear, but actually applying it, even if it wasn't a situation where it happened instantly. I could see the changes that were taking place, even if no one else could see the changes that were taking place. So I think that was the breakthrough, because it's like, again, celebrating those small wins, to be able to get to the bigger win. So I think that's.
Yeah. What about you?
Mine's gonna be a little bit different. It's not gonna be as deep. But my big breakthrough was like when I bought my house in 2020. It was like kind of a transition from me being a boy to a man, because I was putting my family in a position to win. Like I was putting my son to have a backyard and things like that. So that was my big breakthrough. Like, because I never grew up in a home. I always in a townhouse or apartment. Like, so that was my big breakthrough. Like seeing that transition from me being a boy to a man. So that was like my coming out party. Like, oh, I'm here. So like that was my big finale.
That's dope. Congratulations.
Yeah, that's dope.
Congratulations.
Yeah. Shout out to you, homeowner.
Yeah.
That's what's up. My big breakthrough, I noticed. I just noticed like when my speech was different, like just the words I would use, like using the words grace and coping skills and just all these different vocabulary. And I remember at the school that I was working at previously, my boss was like, "You just sound so different. Like just the way that you talk is just it's so different." I was like, "Yeah, my spirit is just at peace." And then I started noticing myself like, you using words like self-care, like that feels good. You know what I'm saying? And so that's when I noticed like there was some change coming, that I had made progress. And then other people started noticing it. And it was like, you setting boundaries now, and you talking about self-care and you just soft life era and all of this stuff. And so that's when I noticed like, okay, you made a breakthrough. And so for me, it felt good when other people noticed the growth in me. And sometimes what happens is, when we're growing, sometimes we don't notice the growth in ourselves. It has to be somebody else will tell us. I'm like, damn, I did grow up, huh? And so that was kind of like when I noticed the breakthrough, when other people started noticing the words that I was using and everything. And I was like, I like this, and this feels good. So yeah.
Mine is when I started to learn that I could tell people how I was feeling in the moment. Right. When I'm upset, I can pause. When I can tell you if I'm frustrated, or right now I need a break from you for a couple minutes. That's when I knew I was like, okay, you are in an era of your life that you are switching.
Yeah.
And I think that's when, for me, it felt good, because
huge.
you could tell somebody like, you frustrated me right now,
Yeah.
or you making me upset, or you can have a conversation with your kid and they can say emotions just like you can say emotions. I think that for me was big.
Yeah.
I just got to that.
Yeah.
At 28, so that's huge.
Yeah. And when you hit that breakthrough, it feels so damn good.
It does.
It feels amazing. It's like years and years worth of trauma and all of that stuff just finally it's not gone, but you learn how to handle it different.
Yeah.
And so when you finally hit that breakthrough, you like, damn, I did a good job. But just be mindful that even though you hit that breakthrough, you still have to keep going.
Yep.
Because one thing that I noticed when I took the year from therapy, I started to like regress. And I was like, oh yeah, like we need to get back into therapy. Like we need to call somebody right now because it's about to go down. And yeah, when I just saw myself snapping on people, I was like, yeah, it's time for you to get back into therapy because you've come way too far to go back to what you used to be.
We also have to remember that our healed versions still have the unhealed versions of ourselves.
Very true.
So you can still be healed and still talk to Jesus. Try Jesus, not me. Just because I'm healed doesn't mean that other part of me is still not there at times, right?
As they say, still a work in progress.
It's still a work in progress. So you have to remind yourself that you can still be in your healed journey, be working, but you're going to be triggered still.
Yeah.
It does not mean that you're done or completed.
As Miss Shay Renee likes to say on the show, either I can be cool or I can come out of a bag. Which one you want me to be?
Shout out to Shay.
Shout out to Shay, yes. But yeah, you definitely, like you said, like, you know, I can be healed, all right, but don't fuck with me. Not today. So yeah. All right. Our next question is, how have your loved ones played a role in helping you cope with anxiety or mental health issues?
I have a funny story. So my son is 8 and he's in therapy himself. And one day I was late taking him to therapy and I'm like overwhelmed. I'm like, oh my God. And he said to me, Dad, as long as we get there. And it just stopped. Like everything just stopped. And I was like, I wanted to cry in a moment, but I was like, wow.
Yeah.
He's correct. Right. He's like, we're late, but as long as we get there and we get there. And I was just like, that's wild to think that an 8-year-old kid can even be that self-aware in that moment.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh my God, we got to get there. Like we gotta rush. And he's like, as long as we get there. And I was like, okay, it checked me.
Yeah.
But my son always checks me for my anxiety and my mental health consistently, because I'll be in those moments and he'd be like, Dad, it's okay. It's all right.
Yeah.
So I feel like my son is a humongous therapist at 8 for a therapist.
That's
so
great.
That's
Nice.
lit. That's dope. Yeah.
I would say my family just being present, right? And just allowing the space for me to be able to speak to them. It's not a judgment zone. You know, they just allow me to be able to speak to them. And it is a safe space. And they're going to tell me when I'm right. And they're going to tell me when I'm wrong, right? And I have to be able to accept that. So I just think them being present and them being there has helped out immensely.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I can't fake the funk. I don't think I hit that stride yet. Like honestly, with my family, it's tough because I'm real shielded. Like I'm the only child, so I'm really weird about all that stuff. So I don't really think I hit that stride yet. I'm working on it, but I don't think I hit that stride as far as my family. So I'm not gonna sit here and lie and act like I know something about this.
very
stuff.
transparent.
Yeah.
Very transparent.
Yeah.
Yeah, I respect that. That's what's up. I would say shout out to my mom. She was when I first started having the mental health episodes, she didn't understand it at first. And then like when she just started noticing some changes, like, okay, my son has gone from being a really happy person to like, now you're moody, now you're irritable, and now you're just not calling for a few days at a time, you know? And so once she like started really paying attention and I opened up to her about going to therapy, that's when she really was just like, are you good? Are you okay? We started having conversation. I started telling her, like, if you don't hear from me in like a few days, please reach out and say, yo, you good? You know? And so she's been super helpful with that because like we said earlier, our parents and grandparents didn't know anything about mental health. They didn't know how to address that. And so I would say with her being open to even attempting to learn more about it has been super helpful for me. So she'll say like, hey, good morning, son. Like, are you okay? How you feeling today? There's still some work that's needed to be there. But she's definitely been a huge help with that. And so it kind of shocked me because, you know, like we said, they weren't used to mental health. And so I was like, well, this is new. I like it.
Yeah, sure.
And so, yeah, she's been huge with that. That's been major. So, but now open about therapy though with that. Now she wasn't open to that. She was like, now why the hell you going to the people? You talking. See, there you go, talking to them people. And I was just like, now she's like, did you talk to them people today? I'm like, yes.
The people were wild.
Yeah, did you go and talk to them people? I'm like, first of all, it's only one person. It's only one. So, but yeah.
My mama is too though.
Huh?
That's why my mama is too. That's why I hit that stride. Yeah. I don't got the nerves for that shit. I'm like,
hey, look, man, it's the best hour of your life, man. It's the best
I love
hour.
therapy. I love therapy.
It is. I love going there and just like, look, just listen.
Yeah,
Don't even say shit.
Put it on the table.
Yeah, just put it all on the table. And then sometimes I'm like, all right, just give it to me. Like, just tell me where I fucked up today. Yeah.
And I think I do like it too when you do have that relationship with your therapist, because after a while, like you start listening to your therapist problems too. Right? Like y'all are like becoming friends, you know, like y'all are hearing each other and bouncing ideas off of each other, which is cool too.
Then that's when I'm like, I should bill you too. So let me see your insurance card. Or just rub me that Cash App, you know, whatever you want to do. But
Blue Cross.
Blue Cross Blue Shield.
My therapist did that yesterday, man. We were having a conversation. He spoke for like 45 minutes. He was like, damn, I took up your time. Yeah, I'm billing you.
You watching that? You got my man. You got my man.
Yeah. I hope you send him a bill.
I need to.
You should.
We definitely should. That's coming from a therapist.
Look,
Send him a bill.
It's crazy. I've never been to a therapist like one-on-one. Always like me and my girl went as couples. I've never been one-on-one. I need to do that.
Yeah.
Individual is,
Yeah.
especially if you do couples, do individual.
Yeah.
yeah.
We like Jerry Springer.
Yeah. 'Cause
I was like, "Ooh, I told you so. Told you was wrong last night. Goddamn lie.
I feel like couples is by far the funniest.
It's
time.
funny, yo.
It
It's
is.
funny.
It
It's
is.
fun. It's
It
a fun
is.
time.
It definitely is a therapy.
Individual therapy is great because it's it's just an hour of your time.
Mhm.
And you know what? I had a session one time when I was with my old therapist. We sat for a whole hour while she just worked. I was just like, we ain't even got to meet. Don't say nothing. Whatever you doing, just get your laptop out and just work.
Yeah.
Because it was just like one of those days where I was like, I don't even feel like talking. Like, can we everybody just be quiet?
Mhm.
Yeah, just you do your work on your laptop. I'll just sit here and cry and do whatever I need to do, but just everybody just be quiet.
Mhm.
And it was like that was like a trip. But for me, what I love about therapy is like you can modify it to what you need. Like
Correct.
the fact that my therapist was like, "You sure?" And I was like, "Yeah." We sat for an hour. Like that was dope. I mean, yeah. Now she billed me, obviously. It was probably crazy. Like, damn, like I'm really billing you for you come sit in my office, but it was quiet, and I'm like, I'm tired of hearing people's kids. I'm tired of dealing with people. Like, I just want to sit here for an hour and just be quiet. And it was the dopest experience ever.
And that's why you can walk into your therapist's office and tell them like, "Hey, I know I got an hour. Give me like 15 minutes to just sit here, or 20 minutes to just sit here." And I'm gonna be like, "Okay."
Yeah.
Because sometimes you just need that quiet time, that safe time, just to recharge, just to reset. Or if you want to lay your head on the pillow and be like, I'm just gonna go to sleep for 20 minutes, close my eyes, get me up in 20 minutes, and we can talk about whatever.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you just need that space away from the world.
I agree.
And that's your time for you.
Yeah, because you can have that time at home, but then you might have somebody ringing your doorbell. You got
Exactly.
the mailman, Amazon man knocking on your door, or you got somebody calling, or somebody showing up. So in my therapist's office, I know I don't have to deal with none of that
At all.
So if the Amazon man is coming to the therapist's office, it better be for you and not for me.
Hard as hell, too. Ain't it?
Yes.
Like hard as hell.
They do.
Throw the package to the door.
Yes. Disturb my damn peace.
Yeah.
Just leave the package on the porch and just keep
All
moving.
that extra shit is extra. Throwing the shit on my wall and shit. Crazy as hell.
Just to let you know that your package is
Yeah.
that shit's crazy.
Sending you pictures and shit.
All right, man. Last question. Have you noticed any barriers or stigmas, past or present, for you? Okay, never mind. Have you noticed any barriers or stigmas, past or present, for you or African American men that have tried to receive assistance when dealing with mental health concerns? So do you feel like there are any barriers or stigmas that prevent men from going to receive assistance when it comes to mental health?
Representation. I think black men want to have a black man.
Yeah.
It's like barbershop talk, right? When you go to the barbershop, you're gonna talk about how you feeling because you're around some people that look like you, can understand where you're coming from, can feel where you're coming from without it being like ooh, this is a little off.
Yeah.
So I feel like a lot of times it's the representation of having another black man therapist. Now the reverse of that is that's a rarity. About I think it's like 3 to 5% of therapists or psychologists are black men. So in the field, it's very minimal. And I know in the city of Toledo, there's probably maybe maximum 10 to 12. And I think in certain cities or bigger cities that you might get a 20 to 25.
Crazy.
But you're not getting a lot of black male therapists in the field, and they're not rushing to become therapists either. So I think a lot of it is also representation.
Yeah. And you talked about I hate when my barber talks to me. I'm like, God damn it.
Yeah.
I'll be like,
Those
just
are the
say,
best talks.
no, I'll be like, just say what's up and just cut the hair, man.
The question is, do they keep cutting your hair while they
No,
talking
that's
to
why
you?
I, that's no.
Yeah, that's not.
And I hope my barber ain't watching. He probably is.
I love my barber.
just know, Mr. Armstrong. All right, I'm name dropping today. Just say what's up, bro.
All right, Cat. All right, Cat.
I'm name dropping today, and I ain't even had no Club Shay liquor. This is life. This is the truth.
The truth serum.
Yeah. I do feel like a big part of it has to do with representation. And I think that even though we have progressed with talking about mental health, the stigma is still there. Like, even though Black men see other Black men like us discussing mental health, they still don't want to take the steps to go and do it. And I think some people are afraid of therapy.
Yes.
Because therapy will make you reach down into the depths of whatever you got going on and pull it out of you.
Yeah.
And so for some people that scares them. So when you have to deal with, issues like whether it's childhood trauma and, PTSD and maybe abuse or whatever the case may be that you've been suppressing for all this time, therapy will scare you because now you have to deal with it. You have to talk about it because you can't get better if you're not talking about it. And I think for us as Black men, we are scared to talk about it. And I'm gonna just keep the bread fresh. I think some Black men are just scared of accountability because a therapist is gonna help make you hold your ass accountable.
100%.
So you don't want to hear you were wrong. Correct. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And that might be tough hearing that from another Black male. You know what I'm saying? And so I definitely think there's just a lot of things that probably scare Black men away from going to therapy. But and I think some Black men don't know how to go about getting therapy. Like, where do they go?
True.
And so there's a lot that goes around it, but I think that's just a few of the things on the iceberg.
Yeah. I think as a Black man, I think we are scared of labeling because, like, as you know, in the Black community, like I said earlier, they quit to call you crazy. Like, I had a cousin, he been wilding for like 8 years. We don't know what the hell wrong with him. Find out he's bipolar. He's been taking medicine the whole time. So I think as a culture, we're scared to find out what's the problem, what's really going on with it. You might be autistic, you might have ADHD, you might be anything.
Correct.
Because you can develop these when you're older. It doesn't have to be when you were born. So and develop these things. So we're scared of getting that label because we don't want to be that crazy family member. Oh, this motherfucker autistic, he and there's nothing wrong with any of these things
at all.
So it's like we have to understand what these things are because as a whole, we're ignorant to these things. So I think that's one of the biggest barriers.
Yeah. Now, my question is for you, C. So why, because you said there's not a lot of Black men rushing to be therapists. Why do you think that is the reason?
It's a low paying job. It's a low hanging fruit. A lot of times Black men feel like I got to be in touch with my emotions to be a therapist. Right. I can't be a therapist and be angry because if I'm angry, then you're going to come to me and be like, I'm cool. Right. So you got to be able to check yourself first. You got to be able to hold yourself accountable at times. And sometimes I think going into being a therapist, it's a process. You got to go to a 4-year degree and take a licensing test. If you want to be a master, another 2 years. So there's a long process. I'm not saying it's easy. And I feel like sometimes as men, we like, you want me to do 6 years or something?
Yeah.
Right. And then now I got to do the rest of my life with talking to people. I'm cool. But I feel like it also goes into like, it's very similar to education, right? Where it's like, there's not a lot of Black male teachers because it's like, you want me to do all this to deal with somebody else's kids? So
I do.
So I think there's some barriers even to, and it's not representation in classrooms.
Yeah.
Right. I met my first Black male social worker my senior year, my undergrad. My graduate degree, I met none. I was the only Black male in the room in my master's program.
Wow.
Crazy.
So it was over 250 students and I was the only Black man in the room.
Wow.
And then I ended up meeting another Black male towards the end of my master's degree, but he was in his 50s. So it's like I haven't met many that are my age or younger. Or even if a counselor, therapists or counselors, I don't meet many. But I think a lot of it is the length, it's the pay, I got to talk about emotions all the time. I got to process stuff. But I think there's this big myth on being a therapist that sometimes you don't got to talk about feelings in therapy.
Yeah.
Right. Every time somebody comes to me, I'm like, we don't got to talk about feelings and emotions. Sometimes they get tiresome. For me, I don't want to hear your emotions and feelings all the time. I want to hear the tea too. Like I want to know what's going on in your life. But I also think it's hard to be a male in a female dominated field as well, right? Because you stand out like a thumb. I get a lot more information than a lot of my female counterparts.
Mm.
Right, I can do an assessment with someone or talk to someone and get away more. They're like, well, how come you got all that stuff and I didn't get it? And I'd be like, I'm just a rarity, right? I'm the unicorn, so of course I'm going to be more comfortable.
Right.
So I think that's the other thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was going to ask you that, but you kind of hit it on the head. So I was going to ask you that. Yeah.
Man, wow. Well, shout out to therapists. You guys help make the world go around just like teachers. And so I feel like with me, without my therapist that I've had, I don't think I would even be where I am today. And so if you are someone who has been considering therapy, whether you're a Black man or a Black woman or whomever, it is okay to go to therapy. And at our age, at our big age, as they like to say, it is time to go to therapy.
You go big one.
Yeah, do your big one. Rip you out I'm telling you, you go to therapy, boy, you're gonna be ripped out the plastic. Every time I leave therapy, I be like, rip me out the plastic. I am brand new. But yeah, man, the first time therapy is always scary. It is scary. But man, I remember the first time I went to therapy, I was shaking in my boots. I had on Tim's, so I was literally shaking in my boots. And I was like, man, listen. And I just remember because I've never been to therapy before. So it was just the first thing I was nervous about was, is it a safe space? That was the first thing. And so I was like, oh, HIPAA, that's great. And then the second thing was just like, I think what was a good thing, but also like, I wouldn't say a bad thing. It was just, I knew my therapist personally. So it was like, you better not be going home and talking to your husband about my shit. You know what I'm saying? So, but once like I realized like the therapist had us on and not the friend hat, that's for me, it's like when it all calmed down. But it was very nervous for me because it was just like, man, like I'm really about to spill my whole life to you about some shit that I ain't never told nobody else. I ain't even told God. And now I'm about to tell you.
Yep.
So, but then it's like once you go the first time and you keep going and keep going, now I'll just be like, what up, nigga? What's good?
Yeah.
What up? So yeah.
And I'm not gonna lie, when I went in, I was so busy looking at it on movies. So I'm like, well, do I sit? Do I lay? Like, you know, like what do I do? So yeah.
I was like, do I put my feet on your couch?
Right.
What do I do?
I love asking people like towards the end of the first session, like, how did you feel when you walked in the room?
Mm-hmm.
Because that question I feel like just kind of relieves the anxiety of it all. Like, let's talk about some stuff. Okay, how did you feel when you first walked in the room? They were like, man, I was nervous. I really didn't want to come today. And I said, you showed up. Right. The hardest part about therapy is just showing up. It's not even sitting. Once you sit down, it just flows.
Yeah.
But if you just walk through that door and walk in the door and sit down, I got you. I promise you. That's a captive audience at that point.
You just said a word though, because I feel like that's life though. The hardest part is like showing up, going to the gym. Just show up to the gym. You know, like
And if you're gonna show up, see it through.
Absolutely.
You got to see it through.
Yep.
Yeah.
Dropping gems today over there.
Yeah, listen, we're gonna have hella clips today, boys.
Gems.
You better drop them gems on episode 40. We appreciate that. All right, we're gonna go ahead and do a quick commercial break. When we come back, we got some shout outs to do. We're gonna talk some more with you guys, and then we're gonna wrap this thing on up. So make sure to keep it locked right here on Mud Talk. Yo, we are back here on Mud Talk again. We'll say shout out to Village Academy for being the amazing sponsors of the Mud Talk podcast show, as well as Black Lido and Many Faces podcast studio. Make sure y'all tap in on Lexi Sims if you have any questions about any of those entities that we just talked about. So before we get into our shout outs, Mr. Cecil, we just have one question. So for anyone who may be experiencing symptoms of depression, anxiety, what are some resources that they can reach out to?
You have the ability to, I'll just say some coping mechanisms first, and I'll say some other resources and things of that nature. So move your body. That's the first thing. Move your body. If it's 10 minutes, 5 minutes, 15 minutes, move your body. If you really feel overwhelmed, hop in a cold shower. Cold showers help. If you want to ground yourself, there's grounding techniques. There's breathing techniques called box breathing. Breathe in 4 seconds, hold your breath. There's so many different mechanisms or tools in your toolbox to help you in those anxiety and depressed moments. But moving your body, not laying in the bed all day. If you are in a depressed episode, I will say making your bed maybe your only accomplishment for the day. So make your bed. And sometimes if that's all you do all day, at least you've accomplished one thing. So reminding yourself to accomplish one, if it's drinking water, right? If it's eating a sandwich, because being depressed or being anxious, you forget to eat, you forget to drink, you forget about the day. The resources, if you are in the mindset that you want to harm yourself, there's a suicide risk line. You can text it, which is 988. If you're in the city of Toledo, there's Zeph Crisis. There is Harbor, I believe, does crisis as well. If you're a youth, Zeph has a whole runaway shelter. There's those different resources in that sense, but the National Suicide Hotline is a textable number, 988. If you feel overwhelmed or want to just talk to someone. Because today I just left. I say this tidbit. I left at a high school, and 4 kids raised their hand and said they've experienced someone committing suicide or completing suicide in their life.
Oh, wow.
So we're talking about high school students. So I know we're having a conversation about Black men. Black men suicide rates numbers are actually increasing as well. So just make sure you reach out to someone.
Yeah. My previous therapist that I had, I remember her and I were having a conversation, and she told me, she said, when it comes to Black men and suicide, Black men are the most aggressively.
Correct.
So they will, however, I'm not going to say the ways that it's been done, but it's very aggressive. And so that was just like so alarming to me, because when she told me like the statistic, I was just like mind blown. And so, like you said, we do have that 988 number that he talked about scrolling across the screen, but there is help available. And we do need to start having that conversation, not as dear Black man, but dear Black boy.
Yeah,
we have to start that now while they're young, and not waiting until 35, 40, 25, however old you are. Like, have those conversations now. Yeah. So, yeah, man. Wow. Well, before we wrap this thing up, does anybody have any shout outs? Any shout outs? Anybody you want to shout out? We're going to end this on a good note. Yeah. Oh, man. Who you want to shout out? Drunk Unks?
Oh, the Drunk Unks podcast,
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Why would we not shout them out?
All that good shit.
Yes. Yes.
Respect.
Shout out to the Drunk Unks podcast. Make sure you tune into them tomorrow at 1 p.m. live. Live. They're gonna be talking about a whole bunch of shit, and y'all have a special guest on the show.
Yep.
Right? Who y'all got?
Miss Johnson.
Mr.
Ken Ray Johnson.
Okay.
Former collegiate athlete at University of Michigan.
Oh, okay, that's what's up. He said Miss Johnson like she a teacher.
Yeah. Respectfully.
Okay, that's what's up. So yeah, tap into them tomorrow on Many Faces Podcast Studio and on the Drunk Unks Podcast Facebook page and YouTube page, 1 p.m. tomorrow. I want to shout out all of y'all for coming through today. Shout out to Tico, the Drunk Unk, for being on here. Shout out to my therapists and counselors who do the amazing work. Shout out to Miss Amy. We appreciate her. And Cecil, we appreciate you. Shout out to Jazz. Shout out to all the amazing dope therapists who do amazing work with adults and with kids as well too. So
thanks for having
What you got, CL?
I'm just gonna shout out all my Black people, man. It's Black History Month. Shout out to y'all. Like we've been behind the 8 ball, but shout out to us.
Yes. You heard what Issa Rae said. I'm rooting for everybody Black.
Hey,
we got an extra day this year.
Sue me.
Okay.
Facts.
All right, Cecil, who you got?
I'm say the same thing. Shout out to all the dope Black therapists, male and female, because I feel like we are doing a lot of work.
Yeah.
And we've been overwhelmed because it's increasing.
Yeah.
Demand is increasing, supply is low. So shout out to us.
Yeah. And shout out to people who are doing the work, man.
Yes.
I'm so proud of y'all. If you get up every day and you go to therapy or you do your meditation or you do the self-reflection, shout out to you, to all the people who are doing the work. Like that's really dope, because in 2024, it's been a lot of crazy shit going on, and we need everybody to do the work.
It's only February.
It is only February,
Right?
And my bingo card is already filled up. Every day, I'm just adding a bingo chip onto the card. At this point, I should have bingo. So yeah, I don't know. And also, shout out to everybody who watched today, or if you're listening today. Shout out to everybody if you listen on iHeartRadio, Spotify, Apple, Facebook, YouTube, wherever you stream your favorite podcast. And shout out to Mud Talk. This was episode 40. This is our 40th episode of Mud Talk.
Congratulations.
40 straight episodes, y'all. No break. So I think we all do for vacation at the end of the season.
Yeah, thank y'all for having me.
So yeah, you know, you got to be on a very special episode.
Oh yeah, I know. I feel blessed.
That's what's up. You should. you should, because we are the hottest podcast on the airwaves.
Talk that talk, Big T.
You feel me? You know I'm gonna talk my mud talk now. Okay, every Friday I talk this shit.
You gotta play that Sonic video after you say that.
You gotta drop a bomb.
Gotta drop our bomb.
That's
Yes. Man, yeah, there's so many people I want to shout out. We got some amazing things coming up real soon on Mud Talk too. We have a special guest. Everybody's special. I gotta stop using the word special because everybody come here is special. But
DJ Envy.
Listen, DJ Envy. Can I be Charlamagne instead?
You be Charlamagne.
Yeah. Are you just hilarious or no?
You.
Le Marie. Le Marie. Craig Yee.
Angela Yee.
Yeah, no, I'll be DJ Envy. You know, it's all right. But no, so on our next episode of Mud Talk, we have Miss Nikki King. She's going to be on the show. She has an amazing story. We were reading through her booking bio that she sent us, and man, she's been through a lot, and she does a lot of work in the community with young girls and young women, and women empowerment and self-empowerment. And then she also does taxes too. So she's going to come through and let us know how.
Crossing her arms.
Or her hands in her pockets. You gotta have your hands in the pocket. But she's going to be on the show to let you know how you can get your full tax return without having to use somebody else's kids.
Okay.
The full tax return. Okay. So stop using somebody else's kids to get your taxes. Okay.
I will see you next week.
You can get $5,000 legally, okay, and not using a little data that ain't even yours.
Talk to me.
Okay, yeah. You might want to be in the studio.
Oh, I will be.
So yeah, she'll be on the show on our next episode. So I'm super excited to have her on the show. She was excited to be on the show too. She inboxed me. She's like, "When are you gonna have me on Mud Talk?" I was like, "Well, you just come on March 8th."
It's a season.
There we go, man. It is. And y'all know we got like 6 more episodes left before this season is over. I know. So we got to do a big for the season finale.
Yeah.
Which is coming up. I think it was May 31st is the season finale.
It's my birthday.
Yeah. CL Styles, will you be in town that day?
I will be in town.
Or
but I will be
tapping
on
in
Zoom.
virtually.
I will be on Zoom next episode.
Yeah, because what you got something big coming up, don't you?
Yeah. So we're going to be working with the Ronald McDonald House, and the students are going to be customizing shoes for cancer and heart patients.
That's what's up.
That's dope.
Yeah.
One by ProMedica.
It actually be down in Florida.
Ooh,
Yeah,
wow.
so the kids will be
Nice.
the kids will be from Ghana and Syria. So it's gonna be really dope.
See, we do big shit here.
Yeah.
on Mud
That's
Talk.
on me. That's on me.
We do the
I
big
was thinking
shit.
a little level. I was thinking service level. That's on me. My bad. I was
You good? You knew.
I was
Sure.
familiar.
It's okay. So, but yeah, you're gonna be tapping in virtually with us, right?
Absolutely.
You're gonna be gone for a long time.
A month.
Ooh, you're gonna be gone for a whole month.
I will be going for a month.
Damn.
So I got 2 episodes virtually.
You see how you do us? Was you gonna tell us?
Well, you knew.
I didn't know you were gonna be gone for a month.
Amy knew too.
I don't think you knew. Oh, God.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Was it at the office? No.
Yeah.
Okay.
On-
Yeah, that makes sense.
On Blast Radio, clearly they put you on blast.
You feel me? I thought it was Mud
Yeah.
Talk. Clearly.
On Blast Radio.
Jesus. No, Mud Talk does not mean drag me through the mud. Shit. Well, I know that's for a good cause. So
Yeah.
we'll approve your PTO time.
Thank you, man. Appreciate that,
We
man.
got you.
Thank
He's
you.
taking his PTO.
Yeah,
He put his foot down.
We need it. We need to do that.
Yeah, I feel it. I love that for you. Yes.
He put his foot down.
Well, so when you tap in virtually, you're gonna show us some of the good scenes. Like, can you show us some water?
Absolutely.
The beach.
What y'all want to see?
Well, what part of Florida you gonna be in?
Jacksonville.
Oh,
Oh, you
hell.
gonna be in the hood.
Duval.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know if we'll be seeing much.
Don't you do that. Don't you do that.
Oh man, shout out to all the people that listen to us in Jacksonville. If you're still listening now.
Right.
No, shout out to Jacksonville though.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you can show us something.
I got you.
Y'all got beaches down there? I've never been to
He
Jacksonville.
definitely tried to. He played. What they say, played in your face.
We have 5 actually. We have 5 beaches actually.
Really?
We do.
You from there?
Yeah, I am.
Okay, I'm about to say, 'cause you said we. I was like,
Yeah, we got
Yeah.
5 beaches down there.
5.
5.
So
Yeah.
what?
It is.
That's
I've never been to
dope.
Jacksonville.
Never been. You got to come.
I've been in Tampa. I've been
Yeah.
everywhere but Jacksonville.
See, because Tia have you thinking that we don't have nothing down there. Come. You come too. April 1st through the 5th. You come too.
I have never heard anybody saying, you know what, I'm about to go to Jacksonville.
Yeah, reasoning why I've been to Jacksonville. I live with people from Jacksonville.
Outside of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Yeah.
I have
Shout out to the
never
Jaguars.
shout out to the Jags, yeah, but I've never heard anybody say, you know what, I'm about to go to Jacksonville.
Ever.
That's you got to be intentional. Clearly.
Yeah, that gotta
Yes.
be
Okay.
like
You have a mission.
It's
a
You're
mission.
going down
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
there. I feel that. That's mad respect.
Like going to East Toledo.
Oh, Lord.
Not going like that. Not going like East Toledo.
Yeah.
You from Florida, then.
I mean, well, the East Side, I mean, they got Mommy Bay, so it's kind of the same thing.
You got to be intentional.
You gotta be intentional. If you are on the East Side, you have intentions. You better have
So if
intentions.
you go to Jacksonville, you got some
Nasty in your
intentions.
podcast.
Well, huh?
Please don't make me get nasty in your podcast.
Oh, man, you say that for Drunk Unks tomorrow. Because you are ready, as they like to say on Drunk Unks, pushing agendas. So we are not pushing any agendas here on Mud Talk Podcast. Besides the
man.
fact that Jacksonville has 5 beaches.
We got 5
Crazy.
beaches.
5 beaches.
That is
Yeah.
amazing.
Are they clean?
And just
Did you,
Just
did you
a
hear what
fun
he just
fact.
said?
Are they clean?
very clean.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Very clean. And just a fun fact, Jacksonville, landmass wise, is the largest city in the United States of America.
How far is that from
y'all look
Orlando?
that up. Probably about 2.5
That's
hours.
too damn far.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's too far.
About 3 hours, excuse me. About 3
Yeah,
hours.
so what's the closest major city to y'all?
Nothing.
Nothing.
I mean, well, you got Jacksonville, but you know,
I'm
we got
not-
Orlando, Tampa, you know.
So is Jacksonville like the country?
No,
Oh, okay.
it's the city.
It's like niggas.
So like
Like niggas.
y'all just have to come down.
Okay.
Y'all be pleasantly surprised.
That's Duval County, right?
That's
Yeah.
Duval County. That's-
Duval.
Don't that be on First 48?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know about all that, Greg. CS Styles, I may not be coming.
Sure.
Virtual sounds real good.
In the hotel, please.
Preferably.
At the
Daytime.
Actually. Top floor.
B49.
They don't mean to Duval. They don't mean it.
No, shout out to Jacksonville, y'all.
Yeah.
We love y'all. We just talking shit. We appreciate it. So, anybody else want any shout outs before we wrap this thing on up? Any shout outs? Well, we want to shout out Cecil for coming through. We appreciate you.
Hey,
Shout out to
thank
T
you.
Cole for Drunk Unks
Thank you.
Podcast for coming through. We appreciate y'all. Like we said, tap into Drunk Unks tomorrow, 1 p.m. on Many Faces Podcast Studio and on the official Drunk Unks Podcast Facebook and YouTube page. We'll be back here on March 8th with Nikki King. Hopefully, she won't be folding her arms while she's here.
I'll be here too, Miss Nikki.
Yes, get your taxes in order. And yeah, man. And shout out to Shay Renee and to Red and to Miss Amy, who, you know, obviously they weren't here today because we were doing Dear Black Men. So, you know, we're rooting for everybody black. So,
Absolutely.
there's that. So, with that being said, I'm Big T.
I'm CL Styles.
And you've officially tuned in to the hottest podcast that brings you the latest in music, news, and fashion and keeps your ears to the streets. While you grind
and shine. It's my second episode.
We don't need you to get that together. All right, y'all. We'll see y'all next time.
All right, peace.
I can't.